Yo, what's going on? This is your man Terrence J, and welcome to another edition of Toxic is the New Masculinity. So to my right, I got my man KY. To my left, I got my man Bossy. Bossy is here this week. Y'all know we missed him last week. He missed a great show, but he in the building. You know, we went and found him. We told you he always running from the government.
Boy,
So
dry that bus,
hey
don't
man, hey,
Back
listen,
it up, run
listen,
over.
hey man, hey, listen. We know your storyline is you're running from somebody. And his storyline is it's the woman's fault if he can't get it up. So y'all got to watch the show to understand what it is. Listen, right now for the first time, we are live on YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook, we would love if you go over to our YouTube page. Toxic is the New Masculinity. And we start supporting on that because after a while, you won't be able to catch this on Facebook, okay? So make sure to go over there and like that page on YouTube so we get our numbers up over there and start to really kick it on this thing right here on Toxic is the New Masculinity. But as you see, usually it's three of us, unless we have a special guest. And today we do have a special guest. We got my man Spider.
Hey,
Spider, what's going on, man?
Hey, thank you. First of all, thank y'all for letting me be on the show. Since I came last time, y'all done upgrade to upgrade to a logo.
We got a table.
Y'all got your new edition outfits on.
Hey, listen,
I ain't mad at you. Y'all good.
We doing it, man.
We low budget, but we doing it.
We making it do what it do.
Yeah.
But I tell you this, the last time you was on, man, it was a great show. So we would look at guests, and KY was like, "Yo, man, call Spider back, man. See what he's doing." I said, "I'll holler at him, man. We'll make it happen." But there was something that I saw on the internet, and it made me laugh. And I know, all of you guys are believers in God and how things should work in the church or whatever. There was a preacher, and she said from the pulpit while she was preaching her sermon, if you're a man asking for 50-50, that means that you're 50% of a man. Now, let me say this for my own personal.
I may need to
self.
leave, man, because I'm gonna say something real bad, and I don't know where this is gonna.
Let's in context. They say I gotta have context.
For my own personal self, right?
Yeah.
My money in my house
Mhm.
is like water. It gets mixed in. I don't know who's what. Is my wife someone who does not have to work? Well, she could take that option, but it's a lot of trips she won't be able to take, right?
Right.
Does my wife's money from her job go to contribute to paying bills? Yeah, but we don't yours, this one, that. We don't do that, right? So essentially, if you want to break it down to the bare bones, me and my wife are 50-50, I assume. It's no conversation that you take care of this, I take care of that. But again, financially, we're so interlocked that it can be 50-50 because if the money that goes in from my check pays bills and her money goes and pays investments, or mine go to investments and hers goes to bill, it's all going outside of the house about what we work. But to say that a man is 50% of a man if he's saying, hey, how about we split these things? Because let's be real.
Who raised her? Let's get to who raised her.
I'm gonna say this. We can assume, right? We can assume who raised her. But just off rip, is that biblical?
I don't even start.
But I'm gonna start there. Is that biblical?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't. God has never placed, at least any Bible I've read, and I've read quite a few of them. I read the King James one or in New Standard or NIV, all that. I don't know anywhere where God puts man's authority in relation to his income. So I don't know where she's getting that from. I don't know. I just.
Is it biblical?
It's biblical. She shouldn't even be in a pulpit. Let's start there. That's
biblical. That's a whole.
That's all you got. Because I'm trying to get.
I know you're gonna work yourself in.
I know
you're gonna work yourself
in.
I understand.
I say, I may not need to talk on this because it's biblical. Hey, that's why she shouldn't be leading men. Because first of all, how is a woman gonna tell me I'm 50% of a man when she don't even know what a man is? Okay. Now she can speculate, she can read, she can observe, but she can't walk in me in these shoes. She can't beat me. So how's a woman gonna tell me I'm 50% of a man? That's like me saying you 50% of a woman. I have no idea.
Or or I'll put it more practical. 'Cause I get what you're saying, right? But
yeah, I know it's hard to. It ain't no easy way to put this out there.
Because I want to put it in a way where like the ladies can relate to how ridiculous this sounds to us at least, right? Because the sisters may be out there saying that's right, she right. So I would say to the ladies out here, there are some women who don't want to have children. That's the truth. They can, but they choose not to.
Right.
So she comes into a relationship saying to me, hey, this is something that's generally expected to produce a family, but I am going to decide that I don't want to have children. Does that make her any less of a female?
Good question.
And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that having children is all encompassing, but we can agree, whether women like it or not, no disrespect to feminism, they are, determined, or whatever you want to put it, about their ability to give birth. They don't have to, but their ability to give birth, right? So if she comes in and make a decision that affects the family, like, hey, I don't want to have kids right now, or I don't want to have them ever. If she comes in a relationship like that, does that make her less than a woman? No, not at all.
Spider, do you think what she said was biblical?
I'm not familiar with biblical terms. I'm not an avid person or know that much about biblical term in marriage. I don't think I know. When my wife and I got married, it was holy matrimony. That's all I know. But I have never been in a relationship where I had numbers, 50, 60, 70, Teddy Pendergrass, 60, 30, 70, 40. I just never wanted to be about numbers. And but for me and my wife, she handled all the money. My check come, it go to her account, she handled it. Because with us,
I want to be clear on that. When you say she handled it, like she manages
the money,
house, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Because she
and
worked.
That's not uncommon.
She worked 29 years for the Federal Reserve Bank as a financial analyst. So that's her profession.
Right.
That's what she do. She can handle money. And then it's a trust factor. So as far as a 50-50, I don't get into numbers.
Yeah.
I just don't get into numbers.
Now I would say this in full transparency, right? I have two girls. Right? I have two girls, and just me. It may sound contradictory, but it's not. If I had a choice for my daughter, right, my choice would be, because I want her already to be protected and covered, is to say, I don't want you being with a dude where y'all split 50% of the expenses. But that's just daddy talking to, you know what I mean? The reality is, for whatever their wishes, dreams, and desires, that may be best for them to build something. You know what I mean?
I agree with that, because from the start,
right?
From the jump,
Like it'd be no different. Just to be clever, it'd be no different. Like, just say their fathers, right? You want your daughter to be married and be happy, and a guy could treat your woman well, right? But what if he was of a different race? There's some cats like I don't care how good you treat I don't want her to be with a different race. That's just being a daddy. That's just his preference. But the fact of the matter is, his preference doesn't translate in the reality or the best way that his daughter should be married. That's just a preference.
Well, let's look at it like this. If we're talking about a relationship in what we would call a general time of starting a relationship, we're talking mid-20s, right? It ain't many men at mid-20s in today's society that can pay $1,800 a month for the 1-bedroom apartment, that can pay whatever insurance is, gas as high as giraffe ass. You know what I'm saying? So when you start talking
tolls, maintenance,
all of that, nails, hair, all this other stuff, you're talking about one guy at a year out of college, possibly, entry-level job. You're telling him he's 50% of a man, or you're telling him that he can't provide for his woman or his wife because he can't tell her, I need none of your money.
Right. It's not real. It's not
well, you gotta look at it this way too. That you're speaking from a platform where you've been through the Coles.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to tell somebody else you need to be where I am right now. That's basically what you're telling the young man their age. We didn't start out like that.
Yeah, I don't even think that. I think
well,
the way
I
have not seen the lady, right? But I'm thinking she's talking about at the gate in any stage of life, and T makes a valid
Well,
point.
I'm just saying you was talking about as a daddy point of view. That's a lot of pressure on a young man. That's, you know, yeah, I would look. Everybody would love their daughter to be, you know, taken care of. Absolutely, you know. But that's a lot of pressure.
Question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could she not be taken care of by a man who is a intelligent, respectful, hardworking,
100%.
Can she not be taken care of by a man
100%.
like that? That's not saying, yo, I pay for everything.
Right, absolutely.
But I mean, what I'm hearing just finance.
So what I'm hearing, but we're talking finance. So what I'm hearing, unless I'm hearing this wrong, everybody in the room say, hey, you know what? You would love for your daughter to be taken care of financially. But what's wrong? You know, and I always say the baby boomers, we jacked up our kids because we didn't want them to work as hard as we did.
Mm-hmm.
But when that's what they needed to do, we didn't want them to struggle when that's what they needed to do. How do you, if you can't struggle out the gate, if there's no struggle, it's just easy peasy. What happens when you do meet a struggle?
So Spider, you have a daughter who has been in the dating stage and things like that. Well, like what was your, as a father, what were you hoping and wishing for when she ran across a young man?
Well, they were high school sweethearts. And by them being high school sweetheart, they had to grind ever since they were out of college all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great story. He passed. He committed suicide, mental illness, and she got all his money. But her brother lived in Aubrey. And I said, Jessica, I said, you probably need to go move to Aubrey, start a new life, fresh, what you've been through, close to your brother. She said, okay, Daddy, we'll have to look at some houses. So about a week later, she called. She said, Daddy, I'm not going to think I'm going to look in Aubrey. I said, why? Well, I looked at the house. They were $2,700 to $3,200 a month. With my insurance in my house in Mesquite, it's $1,200 a month with everything. I think I'm going to stay here and build some equity up. That's just like, I blew up. There's no man in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But back to his point, he know as young men, you have to make them show their worth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your two daughters. Not for him to just come and just spend.
Right.
It's just, okay, right. I want to say you're going to be 50, 60, 70. If you really like my daughter, you have to show your grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by me telling this story, the guy who left her, he showed her his grind.
Right.
He left her in good shape. And whatever.
Right.
And she knew how to handle that. Because now she only got 4 kids. She don't depend on no man for nothing. For nothing. She don't depend on me for nothing. So the man, she told me, she said, Dad, whoever come in my life got to do double for what my husband left for me. So I understand that. And I think that 50% that the lady put the tag on was for the, I guess, some issues she had, whatever. But I'm still stuck on what he said because our young men had not been raised by fathers.
Mm-hmm.
They know I'm going to kick it with her. I'm going to have a little fun, but I'm going to keep my money for my video game. I'm going to keep my money for my weed. I'm going to keep my money if I go to strip club every now and then. See, so I know what you were saying.
It's like I think any man, because I am no way agreeing with this lady at all.
No,
I am no way agreeing with her.
Gotcha.
But I think any man, woman, or parent, like you want the best for your kid. We just selfish that way.
Yeah.
Right.
So I say from a selfish standpoint, right? When my daughter get out of college, or one of them's already out, right?
Mm-hmm.
She got out of college. I want the best dude on the planet, but that's just a fatherly preference,
right?
Like T made a point. Like when my daughter, well, she's 36 now, right? But coming out of when she came out of U of H, like the first, I want to do with the house, the car, and all that stuff, right? But also on the flip side, again, this is daddy talking to make it more clear about how like we have preference over reality, right?
Right.
I want him to be all that, but I don't want him to be 11 years older than my daughter either.
I was just going to bring that up because that man is
10
years older.
And then think about reality. When your daughter gets that degree, come down, that's how like most fathers thinking. Hey, I want him to have a nice job. I want him to have a lawyer and all that. But that's around age 30.
You mean
30.
11 years older than your daughter?
Huh?
You don't want the guy to be older than your daughter?
No. I am saying, right? I'm saying when you talk about your daughter, when the father's talking about his daughter, he wants his daughter to have the best person out there, but to give her security, financially, intellectually, educationally, and job security. He wants to have that, right? He wants a man to take care of his daughter, right? Not for her to be kept. Okay, she has her own money, but primarily you want the best life for your daughter. And what I was telling T, or do I say just now, as soon as she get out of college at 21 and she's dating, that's what you're looking for, right? But theoretically, for somebody to have that, they're in their 30s, right? 30, 35. And generally, I feel your daughter comes in the house, 21 years old, with a 36-year-old man. Hey, man, what you doing? Right? And it's a process saying you're not really thinking this through. It's unrealistic. I'm making a point. It's unrealistic to think. Because like T said, reality is when they coming out the gate, there's going to be a struggle, right? And so her premise of, well, if you come in 50% of the man, that makes no sense. It's not even reality.
Okay, let me ask you this, and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna flip back. I hear what you just said. I heard you just say something. I don't want a guy that's older than my daughter, but I want a guy the same age.
That's not what I said.
You just said that.
I said I don't want to. If a man, I said if my daughter's 21 years old, right? I said the type of man. This is what I process. I'm not thinking things through. When you sit there and say, as like your daughter, right?
Right.
You have a daughter, right?
Right.
By the time when she was born,
right,
to the time she leaves this earth, you want the best man for her. You want her to support it, right? You don't want you when you think about life, right? You know it's going to be a struggle, right? You know heartbreak is a part of a relationship, right?
Right.
But when it comes to your daughter, you really don't want her heartbroken. You really don't. It's just it's irrational to say. It's irrational to say.
Right.
I mean, well, you don't want your daughter feeling. You don't want her to experience the pains of life. You don't want her to, but it's irrational to believe you can protect them for that.
Right.
So you have a preference. You don't want her to feel pain. You don't want her to feel struggle. You don't want no dude to break her heart. You don't want those things for your daughter.
So we have a different stance. I'm on the other side of the street with that. I hear what you're saying. I support what you're saying, but I support it from a different view. I want my daughter to be prepared for those things. I'm not protecting her from those things, but I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying from my point of view. I'm not saying from your point of view. I'm saying I want her to be prepared for those things because you know what? I'm not going to be her bodyguard all the time. I want my daughter to be the dude over there. I need you to be patient with my daughter.
And that's reality. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't get to choose. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Just listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying from my side of the street, what Keith wants. I want my daughter to be prepared for these things because life's going to life. Regardless. Regardless of what I want, it's going to happen. So instead of guarding her, prepare her is my deal. And that's not, when you saying guard and prepare, that is not what I'm saying at all. Right? I'm not saying you said that. Right. I'm not saying. I'm saying what I'm saying.
Okay, let me put it this way, right? You have a house. You have insurance on your house, right? Yeah. All right. So you're protected in case chaos happens, right?
Right.
You're absolutely. You'd be a fool not to prepare for the worst.
Right.
Right. So that's what you're saying. Preparation, like you got to be prepared for things that happen. Things happen in life.
Right.
I am telling you about preference.
But let me say this, and I hear when you say what you want, the best guy, right? But I think you fall back into the trap that we complain a lot about when we hear, I want the best guy for my daughter too. Finances are probably not the top three.
No, look, we are in agreement, right? We are totally in agreement. Let me go back to, and maybe I'm just being confusing, right? The lady is wrong. I don't agree with her at all, right? It is not, I am saying it is not practical to believe, right? Everybody want their life to be cherry and roses, everything they want. That's what they want. That's generally what they want. Nobody, I don't think nobody really enjoys the possibility of struggling. All right. If your daughter has a choice, to let me see. If your daughter has a choice to go to a school, like if your daughter doesn't have a choice to go to a school in she has to go in like in a rough neighborhood, right?
Right.
You've been there before, right?
Right.
There are some things that came out of good of you going to school in the hood. It happens, right?
Right.
There's a training and experience I got from there that is invaluable, and I know it.
Right.
But if you ask me, do I really want my son to do that? I don't.
Mhm.
But if he has to, he has to.
Right.
Do I really want my daughter to meet a dude, find out he got 2 baby mamas and she messed around and like he broke her heart? I don't want that. Nah, I don't want that.
Right.
But that's life. I know it's a habit. Do I ever want to do to break my daughter's heart? No. What dad want that? You prepare him. Yes, that's our duty to prepare him.
Right.
But are you gonna sit there if your daughter came home 17 years old
Mhm.
and be like, Daddy, so and so broke my heart. He slept with my best friend and all that. You are not going to say, you know what, baby, that's life. It happens. All that'll be true. Your first idea is, I'm going to kill this brother.
Okay.
Because that's just your preference.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this.
And I'm
I'm-
gonna reset for the
Yeah.
people watching. There was a preacher that we saw online that said that if a man asks for 50-50, that makes him 50% of a man. So that's the topic.
And we all agree that's
Right,
crazy.
right, that's
right? We
right.
all-
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Well, okay, and what I'm saying is that's wrong.
Okay,
And
so
I'm saying that's wrong from a point of view. Our parents raised us wrong, and we're passing the buck on. Because let me tell you something. We do not teach our kids how to reconcile.
So
me being violent on that situation, am I teaching them how to reconcile?
But wait. But if we're gonna keep this in the level of finances, a lot of us who grew up seeing a man and woman in a house in the 70s, 80s, both of them was working.
For sure.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
Wasn't no talk of we ain't going 50-50 back then. My mama worked from the time I can remember.
Right.
My dad worked from the time I can remember.
Right.
You know, they put in whatever they need to put in to make things happen for the house. Because guess what? If we think about it, around the times of the 70s and the 80s is when there was an acceleration of the wealth growth in the Black community. Why? Because both people were working.
Yeah.
And that's how you was able to send kids to college and you was able to pay for these programs that we had. So when you're talking about building legacy, I'm going to tell you something. It's if you have the mindset that he works, he makes the money, and his money is our money, and my money is my money, you's a selfish ass person.
100%.
You are a selfish.
And you wouldn't accept that in no other area in your life, right?
No.
No, that's what I said. You wouldn't in any arrangement, in any arrangement or partnership. No woman would accept that. Like if it was another way, like just say, and not even like, just say if one girl A and girl B went into a business together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And girl B made more than girl A.
Mm-hmm.
Girl A is not going to sit there and say, or girl B is not going to sit there and say, well, I'll get 50, you get 50, and then, we'll just split it. No, that's not going to happen. Whenever you have a partnership, there's a majority stakeholder.
See,
all right.
But see, I'm kind of deferring a little bit because now I'm seeing when you talk to these youngsters, that girl gonna co-sign with that dude to pay 50. That dude gonna co-sign with that girl because in the time they live in, because we try to put them in our box.
Right.
Who's gonna co-sign? You saying the girl is gonna say it's okay for him to pay 50? Yeah. You don't know these girls, man.
No.
You don't know these girls.
No.
Listen,
no,
and here's the thing. Let me.
I do think that may be a deterrent for someone.
Let me be fair.
Well, you know, there's some women out there.
But let me be fair.
I'm gonna let you finish. There's some women out there. Comment on that. It's some single women out there on this Facebook page.
Yeah.
I would like to hear some comment, but go ahead.
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear some feedback.
Comments about the 50-50.
Right.
If they agree with the lady, if they agree with the, is that what you're saying? If you said they agree with
So here's what I'm saying. You are right, Spider. There are a lot of ladies I wanted to roll back what I said earlier. There's a lot of ladies that are like, yo, let's put this thing together and make it happen. But there's a whole nother side that says, you not a man if you ain't providing. There's women that saying, I teach my son that you provide 100% because you ain't a man. Like they're teaching their sons that.
That's why women don't need to raise. Men out there.
See, I'm saying
they raise them for what their purposes.
See, I'm saying that 21 to about 38.
And that's what I'm talking about. Kind of
that 28 to at 21 to 38, they gonna ride with their dude because they understand in their relationship, they friends first. They ain't trying to be lovers. They happen to be lovers.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that he don't make that much money, but I want to kick it with him. I understand his money is short in his mind, but I want to travel with him or I want to go eat with him. They understand that. Now that 38, 40, 50, they've been burnt once or twice. They ain't got, that's a different crew.
Right.
But that crew between 21 and about 38, they want to hang with Jody and they want to do that. And
somebody asked what they married. Is this are we talking in a marriage scenario?
And they'll go through all causes. Yeah. They'll go through all causes just to have the connectivity.
Okay, so now
I think what Spider just said kind of proves your point about like. I think Spider is talking about his experience, which is valid.
Mm-hmm.
But in today, I don't think that's the case. To your point, I don't think that's the case.
So there was a story that came up, and I commented on it, and I got some pushback on it, right? So basically, I'll summarize this. There was a guy who had a house that was given to him by his grandparents. So he wasn't paying any rent for his house, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a roommate. The roommate was paying all the utilities. That was his rent. The roommate's rent was utilities.
Mm-hmm.
The girlfriend has a stipend. She was in grad school. Her stipend, her apartment was going up. She wasn't going to be able to afford her lifestyle to pay her apartment and everything else off the stipend she had.
Mm-hmm.
She has a boyfriend because she moved in with him.
Mm-hmm.
The boyfriend said, okay, cool. But I'm paying nothing now. But when you come in, I'll split the utilities and everything with you 50-50, which to that point she said no. So my whole thing was, wait a minute. She had nowhere to go because she couldn't afford her lifestyle. He had a house. Yeah. He says, I will increase my monthly finances to allow you to come in and we'll split it. She said no. She said she thought the utilities should be split proportionally to whatever proportionally meant. Basically, this man is saying, I'll provide you a place to live. All you have to do is split the utilities. Because she did ask for the roommate to move out when she moved in. Mm-hmm. So now those bills are now going to be back on him.
That he wasn't covering
that
at all.
He wasn't covering at all.
Yeah.
But see,
now, but here's what the lady said. The lady said he don't really like her like that because a man that really likes you, he is a solution person. He wants to make sure you're not struggling. And if he really liked you, you wouldn't have been struggling in your apartment because he would have been using his resource to take care of the struggle off of you.
But see, that go back to my point, is that if you find that one that really want to kick it with you and they want to ride with you, they'll pay that. But sometimes the women are raised on the old prostitution. That's pussy payment. She using her pussy to pay with.
Wow.
Because when I come stay with you now, I'm giving you that pussy. I ain't supposed to pay shit. And I call that pussy payment.
There's a
hey, this is unfiltered show. I'm letting you know.
That's what they call a mic drop moment.
No, because in this generation, came back from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they disguised it. Mm-hmm. She disguised that. Oh, I'm going to school. She wants you all her thing, but he dropped off all his bill paid. To homeboy, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
She coming over here. His mindset, like I just said, we all together. We still gonna have fun. But her mindset, I'm gonna stay here with, but I'm fucking. Excuse me, but I'm having. Yeah, I'm laying with you every night. He wasn't laying beside you.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I'm paying. She can't come out and say it.
But she got to disguise it like, hey, this is my payment.
Yeah.
You pay all these bills.
But if she go down there to Budget Suite, she got to pay.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's something else I brought up. I was like, wait a minute. Because I was called trifling for saying that she should be thanking him. He is providing an opportunity for her. She should be saying, thank you so much because I'm broke. See, we can get called broke. Bossy, you could be a broke ass dude. She ain't got no money.
So I said, what was she paying for? How much was the total? Hey, let's read some comments. This is getting comical, man. What's the comments you guys see?
That's you know, and it's interesting because we've had these conversations, right, about some of the things that come out of people's mouth, right, in a relationship that is just strictly selfish, and that's all it's selfish. And isn't that the ironic thing?
Yeah.
That a relationship is a relationship because you living together and trying to like reach some type of symbiosis.
We won,
right?
but we selfish.
Right. Yeah,
we won, but we selfish.
I'm in a relationship. Look, I'm in a relationship, but I need you to do this for me.
Yeah.
Make me happy. Do this for me. Provide for me.
But this is the other thing. How women think. His money never will be taller than hers. He's never, because even though his money, he had tall money when the dude was there, but no, you can't have more money than me.
So you saying you think that the woman don't think that he should have more money than?
No, so it means that I'm not paying, so you can walk around with money in your pocket, because women don't want you to have more money than them.
Good point, but I kind of think think more is potentially what you said a couple of shows ago, right? I think there is a group of women who have the ideas. You can make more than me, but your money is our money, and my money is my money.
Yeah.
So,
because like you said,
that's more. That's the way to clarify.
I think that's what you were saying. You got too much free money.
Too much free money.
Hold on. Stop for a minute. Who raising these people? Where's all these ideas? What, you know what? It's some of the worst parents out there in the world. Let me say that right now. It's some of the worst parents out there in the world. If this is what you thinking, and your parents taught you this, that's crazy.
Can I give you my?
No, don't give me that. That's crazy.
You asked the question.
I asked the question. I said some of the worst parents.
Hold on. Did he not start? I said who raised them? That's what he said.
He's been answered, but
that is a question mark, don't it? I think it answered the question mark.
It ain't answered for it. I don't know why I even asked the question. Who raised you, crazy boy?
I would like to speak because this is just my philosophy. Y'all were talking about earlier about how relationships were. Let's even say in the 50s, right? Man, woman in the home, even the 70s, man, woman in the home, whatever, right? I think there's an interesting dynamic that, and I'm just going to talk facts, not an opinion, just the facts, right? That I remember my pop telling me, and I was born in 67. I remember my pop telling me in the 70s, right? In the 70s, like the role of my mother. I just leave it at that. Whatever that role was, the role of my mother, right? And how women, as they gain more education, right? Because you know the gap between like the salary gap between black men and black women are the smallest of any racial group. Like we are the most competitive in salary, stuff like that. So he was telling me about at that time there were women coming up with the I don't need a man mentality. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. I don't need a man, right? And they start getting more educated, making more money, and say, I don't need a man. So they are raising a race of boys who are coming up under them with the mentality you were talking about earlier, right? Women, not women. It's basically they're trying to teach young men how to be young men without any point of reference. All right. They're trying to teach young women to be independent, and women were never made to be independent.
Right.
All right. So now you got a selfish mindset of independency, right? In a codependent situation. And that's why you're getting what you were saying earlier, and you asking why these people are being raised that. Well, who these raising the people? This is a product of that generation.
Yeah. Somebody said, what planet are these people on? Pluto.
Right here on planet Earth. Because it ain't hard to find them. You know, and I think when we talk about as far as what's been contributed inside of a household, how are we making these things work? You know, I think one of the things we fail to realize is a lot of this stuff, you say who's raising them? TV. People are watching people on
Oh yeah,
TV.
I agree with
Yeah, I
that.
agree with that.
And
for
this
real.
other personal
This other
TV
person TV.
that we
Yeah.
carry around,
Now,
and
see,
they're
that's-
like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah, but that came after us. But you're
Well,
right.
yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
happening in this generation
Yes,
now. Yeah,
yes.
100%.
yeah." But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Those housewife shows,
Ooh.
those have been watched by 40 plus.
Man,
These
what?
ladies are in their 50s looking at
And they're not-
housewives of whatever.
And they're not
And-
married.
None of them are married.
That's crazy.
None of them
That's
married.
crazy. None of-
They you got the title of the housewives of whatever, and probably 10% of the contestants or the people on there
But
are married.
But I'm a boomerang back, man. To I heard something said is how we raise our kids. Even I'm at fault at this. Nobody teaches nobody how to reconcile. But when controversy comes up, y'all need to talk it out. You ain't been taught how to talk it out.
No.
That's what I'm saying earlier.
Right.
You're in a society has become extremely independent, and we've been teaching, a lot of people been teaching self-survival, which is counterproductive. Like you're in a cohabitation situation, but you want to be independent,
Right.
and that's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, because if how many people have heard this? When I say this a lot, when you come on say, as a kid, so and so did this. Well, that's not your friend anyway.
Mhm.
You don't need to be with him anyway. That's not your friend.
What?
When in actuality, why didn't we teach how to reconcile?
Well, but here's the thing: as a parent that told their kid that's not their friend,
Yeah.
some people you don't need to reconcile with. There's no
Why?
reconciliation.
No. Biblically, no.
Biblically
No.
I got to be friends with everybody.
Reconciliation is just like, you know what? I'm not gonna carry a grudge. I don't have to teach you how to hate, T. I had to teach you how to love. So you just saying I don't have to be friends with everybody. What if Jesus took the same stand? I ain't gotta be friends with everybody.
But I think that's a whole nother conversation.
It's a whole nother conversation. But what you're supporting what I said is because the first thing you said, you don't have to be friends with everybody.
No, because some people are not here to be your friend.
Okay, but even if you're not my friend, it tells you the hardest thing for people to do is to love somebody who doesn't love them back.
I can love you, but I ain't ever got to fuck with you no more.
But that's not love.
See, well, I did see. Here's the thing: the Bible says, like, but if your enemy is naked, clothe them,
Right, yeah.
and if they're hungry, feed them. I get that, and I agree with that. But my interpretation of that scripture is, yeah, you feed them, but from a long handled spoon. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Don't
you don't
walk
have
up
to,
on
that's
them,
right. You
'cause they got a knife
you can,
ready to
you
stab
can provide you can provide basic necessities,
so-
but I don't have to welcome you in my space.
So
I
here's
can give it to you to take it to.
here's the deal.
I ain't got to go.
So here's the deal. What's the difference between kind and nice?
Kind has boundaries. Nice has none. When you are nice, you know what you say? No. When you are nice, too many people, if they're being nice, you offend me, you do something wrong, I'm going to play nice. You do something
You're right on
intentionally,
that.
I'm going to be nice. This and that. Kind says, yo, I'm not going to physically retaliate, but
Okay.
and I'm going to forgive you, but I'm not going to allow you to keep doing this because I have
Right.
boundaries.
Yeah.
That's the difference
Yeah,
between kind
okay,
and nice.
you
Yeah.
said it right. So here's the deal. Nice, I let you keep getting away with stuff, and I'll let you. You're gonna eventually run up on the wrong person because of my niceness. I didn't make a correction. With kindness is correction, and it's corrected with kindness. I don't have to be mean to you.
You
I
don't.
don't have to be. And let me tell you something. You can hate me all your life. If you come back, I can say hi. How you doing? I don't. The deal is our relationship may not be there. It may not be a relationship, but it can be a kindship.
But you say kindness is what? Correction?
It's a kindness is me. No, listen when I say correction. Kindness is let me play a story for you. The spider came in my house at 3 a.m. knocking on the door, drunk as hell. And I let Spider in and just put him on the couch. He does this 3 or 4 times. I always put Spider on the couch. I'm being nice to Spider. But my kindness to Spider is, hey, Spider, you can't keep doing this. Because you know what happens? He's going to knock on the wrong door one day. He's drunk and he may get shot. And because I didn't make a correction and not out of just, hey, man, you need to cut off this goddamn drink, blah, blah, blah. out of context, Spider, we can't do this, man.
Can't do that.
How can we get you some help?
But I don't want you to pass the buck because you're saying he might be knocking the wrong door. My door might be the wrong door.
Right.
My thing is, I can be kind to you, and if you're depending on sometimes level of aggression got to be met with a certain level of aggression. And so what happens is I'm kind, I'm all of that.
Right.
And I say, hey, stop doing this because whatever it is offensive to me.
Right.
And stop doing it. You continue to do it. Well, then listen, war is acceptable in the Bible. And there are people who have went to war, right?
Right.
But it was a now when you say go to war, it was a blessing to go to war. So don't see this.
Well, I got hands of blessings.
Okay.
No,
hold on.
That eventually I might have to lay hands on you.
When I said it was a blessing, let me stand correct. I see him jumping up over there.
No, I'm just trying to understand. That's all.
No. It was prayed upon. I mean, it was prayed upon. You know, they spoke to God before they went to war.
Please don't
They
let
didn't
me
just
slap this.
they didn't just jump up and go to war. Even David, whose own heart was after God, David had a lot of blood on his hands. But he consulted, let me put that way, he consulted with God first. See, we just think, well, God going, okay, I can go to war because this person offended me. But go back to what love is. See, we don't talk about that. What is love? Because now if you're going to say, okay, and that's the biggest commandment. The biggest commandment is love. But we don't want to follow all the steps of love.
Yeah.
And everybody said, but. Everybody, so get your butt out the way.
Wait, I got two things to make sure I'm understanding.
Okay.
So the first thing you said is there's an issue. I'm paraphrasing. There's an issue with being able to reconcile, right?
Right, it is.
Right. Okay. All right. You said that because we don't teach ourselves to reconcile.
Not
right?
ourselves. We don't teach our kids.
We
wouldn't even talk to reconcile. We talk to put hands on these people. Don't come back in his house until you can kick his behind.
Okay. I'm not sure that goes for everybody or most people. But
it's not a cookie cutter situation.
I hear you, right? But the one issue is you said we're not taught to reconcile.
Right.
And that's I understand that. I guess maybe what you lose me is how do you define reconciliation? Before you answer,
right?
What I define reconciliation is if we come to a resolve of an issue, right? That I understand, but after that, it looks like you're talking about there should be a feeling of we need to be cool.
No. You missed me. No, I didn't say nothing about being cool.
That's what I get. Like
reconciliation is you may feel some way that's justified, but my intentions may not line up with what you felt. That's when the reconciliation comes.
That's
in.
what I said.
But I ain't say nothing about being cool.
All right, so let me go to my second one. When you said we don't teach, I mean, I'm paraphrasing love, right? And that's. I totally agree with that, but that goes back to what I said before, this show and the ones before.
Right.
Because we are taught, like most people believe, when you get in a relationship, we could take a poll of people right now. What are you looking for in a relationship?
Right.
At the end result, it's what the person I want to get in a relationship can do for me.
Absolutely.
That's generally how people are.
Yeah.
If you ask people, I want a king, I want a queen, I want somebody to acknowledge my feelings, I want somebody to be honest, I want somebody to treat, it's all about me to a degree.
Right.
Where that's not love at all. When you talk, when you want to talk about the Bible, love specifically is what I am willing to do to sacrifice me for how I feel about you.
Absolutely.
That's what love is.
Right.
Again, what is John 3:16?
Whoa. You said sacrifice.
Right. What if
me?
Right. If I so here it is. Me and my wife, right? Right. And I have scripture to back it up. Me and my wife. When I say I love my wife,
right.
The way love is designed, it's supposed to mean I care about you so much that I'm willing to do something sacrificial for you. That's what love means. Love is not what you can do for me. Okay, let me put it in simpler terms. I've said this before. Lust is when I'm willing to sacrifice somebody for my desire.
Right.
Love is when I'm ready to sacrifice my desire for someone else.
Okay.
That's what John 3:16 is.
I see what you
love
are.
Love is that's like I am willing to give up something that means to me.
Right.
That's what John 3:16 is about.
Right.
God so what? Love
his son.
The world that he gave his
what?
He gave.
His son.
He didn't say I love the world and I got it from them. I love the world because of what it does for me. right? God's love has nothing to do with what we do for him.
Right.
What God does for man is, hey, I already put myself out there, right? But because we're in a relationship, there has to be reciprocation. Because you got the other people in my voice says, well, no. What if they don't treat you right? Right. The thing is, you do have expectation of reciprocation, but you don't go in with the reciprocation first.
See, so what I'm gonna do right there from what he just said, and as this conversation started off talking about, the preacher saying of a man asking 50-50, 50% of a man, the story about the girlfriend moving in, telling the boyfriend she don't want to split the utilities or whatever. I think in these cases, our main conversation, we're saying, why is there talk of everything else but love?
100%.
Right.
You know why?
One time,
You know what?
One time.
And because all the things that we just talked about, to me, love that you're not afraid to be by yourself. You're not afraid to be by yourself.
True.
Because in a situation, I need rent paid. In a situation, you 50% of the man. Well, for you to be a whole man and be loved down the way, I need you to be a whole man. All those things is that, and you were saying how all those people ask for all those kings and queens. But the bottom line, and let's go back to, I saw this interview back in the early 80s, when Maurice White said, it's the hardest thing to do on this planet is to learn to love yourself.
Who did you say that?
Maurice White.
Oh,
when he was writing his music, he was writing it. And I get that because he was talking about the fear. So we all need somebody to help us love ourselves, be in there. I need that person. But you're afraid of being alone. And so to me, is that even with my wife, I would tell you, talk about this. If you love yourself, you got a plan. You're not afraid of being in love, you can move on. But most people want to be in love because they want that connection. They want that fear. They don't want to be let go. They don't want nobody to leave them. But if you're strong with yourself and you work on you, you can love anything around this world and this planet.
And so to that, I want to ask you, Spider. So when we are having people get together and there's this checklist, and I understand, people have preferences, people like certain things, but when we come in and we're talking about a lot of times finances and getting together, like where's the conversation about the respect, the honor, the sacrifice, the care, the compassion? Why does those conversations get pushed down so low until you show me that you can pay this?
Because it's go with that 5-letter word, worth. Nobody don't have time to find each other's worth.
Well, and
with worth, you got to put in work. So beginning the conversation, he said about his daughter, him with a 21-year-old daughter, getting no joke anywhere, any kind of knucklehead, because he wanted to see his work become worth. And that go for when he want to see that girl who want that free ride. He want to see her worth. And we don't want to put in work no more. And so once we put in work, everything changes.
So let me say this. First of all, and I'm going from a biblical point of view tonight. These are worldly thinking people. Everything we're talking about is a worldly perspective. It has nothing to do with biblical. So that's why it all falls apart. That's why the train derails. So if you take it back to biblically, you won't have this problem. Because I'm going to go back to love. You're going to be patient. Love holds no accountability. It holds no count of wrong. So when you wrong me, I'm not sitting up here, it's like, okay, yeah, I remember you did this. But we carry that inside of friendships. I'm not even talking about relationship, just friendships. So how you going to even get past a friendship to get to a relationship and carry that same mentality and think, you know what? If I'm holding all this, I'm not loving you. I'm using you. And then to that, and furthermore, like he said, being alone, I can carry my own. It's easier for me to take care of Keith than to Keith and somebody else and their emotions. That's easy. But what, like God said, man is not meant to be alone. Is saying I would love to share the things I enjoy in life with somebody. I don't need you to come in and make me better. Now we can be better together.
man. I had a friend real quick. I had a friend. What's up, Jackie? About 15 years ago, and she said, "Spider, you always want to see everybody. You ain't. I didn't have nobody." She said, "You always want to see somebody together, and y'all talking about they holding in, they look good together. Y'all try to put people together." I said, "Jackie, I got to know what it look like when I get there. I just can't just go get it. I got to see it around me. I got to say, oh, that look nice. Oh, it look lovely. So when you see that, you'll want that.
Right.
You can't just hold back. Oh, look at them. Oh, they shouldn't be holding in. No.
Right.
You should want that. So that love start there. So when you get there, oh, it's easy.
Right.
But sometimes we don't put that work in, and that's work.
Right.
To see somebody else.
Yeah.
Love and loving.
Yeah.
And so to hear you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, interject real quick because you were going back before Spider gave his endpoint. You had said something about like biblically, and man was not meant to be was not made or created to be alone, right? And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. I said earlier, one, that verse right there in itself basically says we were meant to be social creatures.
Right.
We in general were not. When he says man, he's talking about men and women.
Right.
We were not meant to be alone. Right. Although, like he made we Eve help me, and this is a whole teaching I've done before. When he made Eve, Eve didn't have a name; she had an identity.
Right.
Because man and woman were equal. I know every preacher says when God says, "Adam, where are you?" because man was in charge. That is not true.
That's not true.
It's not true.
Right.
All right.
Right.
I believe it's in Psalms chapter 8 when he talk about man's worth. He's talking. He said, "You called them man." So in any event, we were created to be social creatures, and as I said, that's where we're supposed to be, like cohabitation. Right. The whole authority came in is when sin. Right. After Eve fell, Adam gave her a name. He called her name because in Jewish culture, what you have rule over, you name it.
Right.
Like in the Bible, when God took rulership over somebody, he changed their name.
Right.
Okay. So that's Jewish culture. Right. So also that man just came was the fall that he got over. But the bottom line is us living in cohabitation and needing each other has never changed. What's changed is we said earlier. And when you talk about why people don't love comes with vulnerability. And that's what we really don't want to show. That's where the selfishness come in. Whoever the I is in general, don't want to seem vulnerable, right? And to do that, I have to make you show me everything for me to feel safe, secure before I am vulnerable to you. Right. And that's why the selfishness in relationships come in.
So it's vulnerable. So it's
right.
vulnerable and weak the same thing?
No, heck
okay.
no.
I'm just asking for
not
all
this.
So as we get ready to close out,
let's
go over some of these because we haven't done this.
Can he read that first? What he just said?
Sure.
Well, we had people comment. We didn't comment on none of our comments here.
Well, I was posting them up so everybody can see them.
Read that.
Psalms 8 doesn't directly mention Adam and Eve, but it reflects on God's creation and humanity's place in it, which aligns with the Genesis narrative of Adam and Eve. The Psalm speaks of God's majesty in creation and how he has given humans dominion over earth, echoing the role given to Adam and Eve in Genesis 1:26-28.
Yeah, but
so here's the thing. And so we had a bunch of comments, people jumping in. Shout out to Amy, shout out to Veronica. We had your comments posted here on the screen, so people can see them. And so anytime we do the show, we love when people bring in their comments and give this. But I wanted to say this. We talk about the ways that the relationship goes now, and I'm gonna tell you there's something that has become even more present now. And that is the presumption of options. Now that we have access to more people than we've ever had before, there are a bunch of ladies saying, "Oh, I got options." But there's a bunch of guys saying, "But I got options."
True.
Now, here's the thing. Ladies, the options that you see that's in your inbox are not real options, because what you're asking for, 99.9 of them cannot do the things that you want. Fellas, it's fun. It's a fun night. It's a fun weekend, whatever the case may be. But as you mature and you start to grow into different aspects of your life, none of those are options outside of that night. So when we do get somebody and we have somebody and we're in relationship and partnership with somebody, people thinking that all of these options that we have in our hand are two viable options. Not true.
But see, I'm different. But the same thing what them guys do, them girls, the women like that now.
Like what?
In the inbox, if they want to hit and quit it, they there now.
That's kind of what he's saying.
They are there now. I'm talking about with no emotion, no feelings, no nothing.
Here's the thing. For a woman to tell you there's no emotion, she's a lie.
No.
And if she does not have emotion, she is operating outside of her natural.
I'm just saying the days are gone, I believe, when everybody think when a woman sleep with a guy, he trying to be a boyfriend or trying to hook up. No. I done had women tell me that. Oh no, I'm gonna hit you, you hit me, don't call me.
That's
the point. That's what he's,
that woman is operating so far outside of her natural.
No.
Yes.
No.
That is not natural for a woman.
No.
That is not. It is not natural for a woman
to
allow a man to enter her body.
In the show because of this right here. Because there's no filter no more.
But here's the thing. Outside of
there's no more filters.
Activity and action, right, doesn't necessarily equate to personality, and that's kind of what he's saying.
I don't think it's a cookie cutter situation.
No, I'm gonna tell you this.
No, I believe there's more sexual freedom than there's ever been.
Yeah,
but like he said, that's just, and I know the women probably tear us up on this, but it's very equivalent to this, right? I know at some point in our lives we cried. I don't care how liberal a dude you are.
Yeah,
you cry.
Yeah,
but we still have that innate nature of I can't let nobody see me weak because I'm supposed to be leader. All right, I've known you for almost 30 years. I ain't never seen you cry. Never. You know what I mean? And we was together for what? About 3-4 years every day. I ain't never seen you cry. Right. Same thing here, right? Yeah. We hurt, argue, life happens, right?
Yeah.
That's just not our nature. And to his point, right? Women at least in the experiences I know, we've all had that premarital stage, right? Before you got married or whatever, right?
Right.
Where we had options, like you said. And before all this happened, because that's the nature we lived in, you actually had to put in work, meaning talk, have a conversation to get a female.
You couldn't meet nobody in New York.
Right. Yeah. You had to go
in one day.
It was no like, hey, let me get your Instagram.
But my point is that this generation of women, it's like that Down the Rock song that women really, I think in that so many words, it's my turn now. It's their turn.
Right.
And because you can do a survey right now, and it could be a hidden survey. What you think percentage of the women really go by the Steve Harvey 90-day rule?
Well, probably none of them.
No. And it may be like 80% don't.
Right.
So my point is what I'm saying, when he was talking about the inbox, whatever, I read some other day, said we live in a time where what used to be a shame is normal.
True.
But I still agree with him.
I still got to go back to this. I still got to go back to this because one, I was like, this is something that I just knew, but then I had ladies tell me, if you don't have connection, if you don't have emotion, if you don't have that, when you enter into sex with somebody else, you are disconnected from yourself. You are not operating in your natural state.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, yes, do they do that? They do it, but they have to lie to themselves, or their reality has become so warped from true connection to yourself. You got to think about it. I call it the ear and finger test. There's a legitimate reason that I can touch each one of y'all finger for whatever. Hey, Keith, you got an ant on your hand. It ain't a damn reason I can put my finger in your ear. Because you are not going to allow me insert anything into your body, because there's a difference on something that's on the outside of you versus something on the inside. There is a connection that we have when you actually go through and penetrate the body in any way. Right?
Don't put your hands on me.
Think about it. When you go to the doctor, the doctor says, hey, I'm going to look in your ear. Right? Most time, if they do your check, they just take the deal, put it up. But when they would look in your ears, your
They
nose,
let you know.
they let you know
Yeah.
because that's an intrusive thing.
Mhm.
So for what I'm saying is for the ladies who do
First
that,
prostate exam ain't no joke.
Wait.
Say, bro.
That's all you had to say.
I'm so glad they came in with the blood test.
I was just gonna say, they got the urine test now.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Look,
They got the urine test now. Hey, you might want to go ask your doctor, man. They got the urine
Say,
test now.
bro. Say, bro, let me tell you something. I didn't even go there.
Look, when I turned 49, with 50, I switched from a male to a female.
Wait,
Hey, let me tell you something. Hey, I went to a female and said, okay, this should be pretty okay. You know, she gonna be sympathetic. I don't know if she had a problem with her husband that day. Man, I left there. She made me feel so cheap. Like, let me know when you finish. Like, what kind of bullshit?
I'm gonna tell you this. I had my doctor. I said, listen, they say you gotta start getting around 45, right? So I'm 44. So I turned 43
That's
or
crazy.
44.
Everybody did that.
I said, I remember shaking my doctor's hand one day, and I said, "You not gonna." That
was my time.
Wait though. I said, I'm about to find another doctor. Long story short, funny not funny. I go to the doctor, and they were like, "Yeah, you know, it's so sad what happened to the doctor." Like, what happened to him? Oh, he passed away. I said, Lord, I said I was gonna switch doctors. I didn't need you to take him. I was like, wait a minute. But you know what? I did. And so when the new doctor came, the new doctor took his place was a woman.
Yeah.
And I remember I said, well, nice to meet you. I did that intentionally because I was like, let me
Take your hand.
So I made mention. I said, yeah, I had to shake your hand to see what's inside your hand because I'm gonna come up on this test pretty soon. She said, well, we first do urine tests and we see what her levels, then we go blood tests. I said, oh. Thank God for technology.
She like, he don't know nothing.
Listen, hey, y'all, we got to get out of here, man. This has been a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it and was able to take some from it. The comments, you guys, the comment section will still be open. We'll be responding to these. Shout out to everybody who did. We didn't get a chance to read them, but I did want to make sure I post them so everybody who's watching and everybody who does watch can come up and see them pop up on the screen. Make sure to go to our YouTube page. If you do not subscribe to our YouTube right now, Toxic is the New Masculinity. When you go to that page, do us a favor, share it out on your social media pages so it can get out to more people. But go on there, like it, comment, subscribe. We do appreciate everybody who is a new subscriber to the page. We were trying to reach our number. We did it this week. So we appreciate all the help and support. And I'll give Spider the closing word.
I don't have a closing word. I just want to tell hey everybody, you may know about Power Play Podcast TV. We're back after a 2-year hiatus. We opened up the Power Play podcast land. Be located in the same location right here, Radio Therapy. So be checking us out on all the social media networks.
Absolutely. So like I said, man, anybody got anything y'all want to say before we get out of here?
Well, you know, we're gonna let y'all enjoy the 4th of July. We won't be back next week, but the week after that, look for us. And like you said, hey, go on YouTube because our platform is gonna be changing here. We're gonna transition over to YouTube. And Facebook is gonna have it stand along with Toxic is New Masculinity.
Masculinity. Gotcha. I got
that
you.
part.
I got you.
I need some water. Yeah. But hey, y'all, it's big things happening, and we look forward to sharing our thoughts and comments with you, and y'all share them back with us. Thank you.
So we'll see you on the next edition of Toxic is the New Masculinity.